Hey guys, Deathy here. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Aurora Masters tournament and my analysis of it. I want to give you guys a deeper perspective on the current meta by analyzing what heroes were most picked, at what stage they were picked, and which ones were always picked or banned. To do this, I looked at all the matches that I could find, which was a pool of 6 matches from the tournament, and I looked at which heroes were picked, the order in which they were picked, which heroes were banned, etc. I'll put a link to the spreadsheet in the description below that I used to compile all the data so that you guys can have a look at it if you'd like further information. I used this data in order to make a tier list. I'm just going to talk about the tier list a little bit, and this will be a pretty short video, but I want to give my thoughts on why certain heroes are at the place that they are. A lot of people have also been asking for an updated tier list, and I wanted to find a way to make it original as well as informational, rather than just clickbait, here are the better heroes this patch, etc. So let's get into it. At the top of the tier list, we have the first pick, first ban heroes. For those who just want to see the entire tier list, here's the picture. In the first pick, first ban, we have Kelvin at the very top. This hero was pretty much first picked or first banned every single game without fail. This isn't really surprising as someone who's been scrimming almost every day. Kelvin is one of the most contested heroes in our scrims as well, and so I'm not surprised that Europe isn't any different in that regard. The hero is just incredibly strong right now, very strong laning stage, extremely strong ganking potential. The beam is extremely oppressive. The ultimate allows him to just kind of contest any objective for free. Mid boss, urn, towers, patron, whatever, you name it. And it's just an extremely strong hero overall, and I'm almost 100% sure that it's getting nerfed Thursday. Another thing to keep in mind is that there's a patch coming in 2 days, and some of these very well may change. In fact, probably will change. But I want to explain why they're broken so that you guys can see with the patch notes what's going to change and whether the fact that they're broken is going to remain the same. In second, we have Dynamo. So Dynamo was actually not picked in any of the games that I could find. He was actually always banned, and he was always either first or second banned once again. The reason for that is Dynamo's kit is incredibly strong. The ultimate is just a really, really strong teamfight ability, and it can be hard to stop. You need curse, or you need knockdown, or you need some sort of stun on your team right away. And a lot of lineups don't have any reliable stuns to stop it. For example, in most lineups, you might have Infernus, or you might have maybe a pocket or things like that. Lash is a very good hero at stopping it, but then again, you have to be there and not get caught. It just enables free kills early on, even if you just solo black hole someone it's worth. And Dynamo's gun is very strong. And on top of that, I think that one of his most underrated abilities by newer players is his second ability, the one that allows him to warp. I forget the name, but that ability basically allows him to dodge anything, any ability in the game, pretty much anything that can be dodged, right? So we're talking lash hold, we're talking any roots, we're talking any stuns like knockdown or things like that. Technically, you can even dodge projectiles like curse and stuff with it. So it's one of those abilities that people are only going to get better at using, and that will only get better with time. I think Dynamo is very likely to remain at the top of this tier list for a long time. He's been very good as far as I can remember, pretty much. And he's one of those heroes whose entire kit is just extremely useful, especially if you're playing with a team. Keep in mind, this tier list is based off of a tournament, and therefore it's based off of team play. In solo queue, Dynamo may not be as good. Right now, his gun is still incredibly powerful, so I would also place him very highly for solo queue, but that part might change. However, even if they nerf his gun, I think he'll still be very highly rated in team play. Abrams was also first pick, first banned almost every time. I believe he also had a near 100% win rate, so I don't think he lost a single match. Keep that in mind that, this is a small sample size, right? So I looked at the win rate, but I didn't really use it for any analysis because since the sample size is so small, it doesn't really mean anything. His kit is just like, he just does too much damage with too much crowd control. Like the reality is a hero that has 2 stuns as well as a ton of healing, etc. should not be doing a ton of damage, and yet Abrams just kind of melts people with his shotgun. You just have to buy a couple of orange items and you're melting people. Viscous finally is at the bottom of first pick, first ban. He was extremely contested, but he was very rarely banned because people prioritized the heroes that were more like Kelvin and Dynamo. But since he wasn't banned, he was almost always picked either first or second. The hero is very strong. Ever since they buffed the gun, it does insane damage. I'm convinced that Cube is the best ability in the game. And other than that, like his ultimate is pretty decent. He has insane mobility with his punch. His laning stage might be the strongest laning stage in the game right now, or very close, etc. In second phase, we're going to go a little bit faster over them because I don't want the video to be too long. So Vindicta is at the top of the second phase. She's a very strong hero right now with a like big snowball potential. Her laning phase is okay. It's not the best in the game or anything, but as soon as she gets her ultimate, she has really good potential to just kind of go snowball and gank. She's also obviously better in team play because you can move to your teammates' lanes easier and clean up kills as soon as you have your ultimate. So communication really helps her shine. Pocket also top of second phase. I don't think this is surprising to anyone. Pocket's a very strong hero right now. If he gets ahead, he will snowball and control the entire game. Pocket's biggest weakness at the moment is definitely the fact that he has minus 15% spirit resist, and therefore in the laning stage, if he's playing against heroes that have strong spirit nukes, it can feel pretty hard. But other than that, and other than like Silence Glyph kind of making the hero hard to play, he's very strong, tons of mobility, tons of utility, and just offers a lot to the team. Shiv, second phase as well, still an extremely strong hero. It's unclear whether Shiv is broken still or whether he's just very strong, but regardless, he is highly prioritized, and we saw a mix of gun Shivs and a mix of knife Shivs. So there's both that are being played. Both seem to be viable in different situations, so I think it's more of a playstyle thing now. I know a lot of people have been asking me for Shiv thoughts. I still play the gun Shiv personally, but I understand that the knife Shiv is also strong. Paradox, I put second phase. Paradox surprisingly wasn't picked as much as I expected, but I think I did my analysis and I believe that it is more of a player issue. So one thing to keep in mind is there was only 4 teams in the tournament, so that's a total of 24 players, and each player has their respective hero pool, right? And I just think that there wasn't a ton of Paradox players other than Mikhail S, and obviously when it was picked, it was usually him. I still think Paradox is pretty strong. I just think it was a hero pool issue. Wraith was pretty decently contested. She wasn't picked or banned every game, but she was picked or banned in most games. And it makes sense when you think about it. Wraith has a strong laning stage with the cards. She has very good utility with her ultimate. And she's also good at like split pushing and creating space with her TP. So just a really useful kit to have in a MOBA in general. You've got a stun, you've got a mobility ability, and you have a decent laning stage, as well as good building damage. Lash also pretty contested, extremely mobile hero, just like offers a good mix of damage and utility. Can be built either way, right? So if you need more damage, you can build Lash more damage. If you just need the utility and you want the ult, you can also build him that way. So he can really fit multiple archetypes. Moen Krill, also very contested. I mean, having a point and click 4-second stun is just really strong. The other parts of his kit are also like, decent enough to manage. And he's got a pretty good laning stage. He can farm pretty quickly. He's got a lot of things going for him, and I'm not surprised to see this. In NA, I would say that he's extremely contested as well. Third phase heroes, I'll talk a little bit less about. Once again, we're getting to the less interesting stuff. The roster is pretty small still, right? So at this point, it's just kind of whatever's left that's not terrible. So teams in this phase picked Warden, they picked Haze, they picked Infernus, Seven, Yamato, Lady Geist. All of these characters seem to be like playable, but none of these characters seem to be super highly contested. I think out of these characters, the one that's most surprising to me was kind of Warden. Before the tournament, I was expecting Warden to not get picked that much. But Warden does seem to get a lot more play in EU as opposed to North America. I haven't seen a lot of people play Warden in scrims in North America. I've been playing it myself a little bit in scrims, but most people haven't been contesting it too much. Other than that, we did see a decent amount of Haze, and Haze had some success, which I was also kind of surprised by because I felt as though Haze wasn't very strong. Keep in mind, she was still like third phase, and there wasn't a lot of priority put on the Haze pick. So I do think that Haze is still not that good. Infernus got hit pretty hard by the Flame Dash nerfs. It makes the hero a lot worse. You can't just like run away for free from every ability, etc. So yeah, definitely third phase material. And then there's just kind of whatever's left. Yamato was picked a decent amount, had okay success. I think the hero's fine. A lot of Yamato players are telling me that it's really good. And, it's being picked. So the hero's probably okay, but it doesn't feel like a very high priority hero. And Lady Geist was picked a couple of times. but once again, not a very high priority. The kit feels a little weird, very low mobility, etc. In Situational, we have Ivy and Grey Talon. The European teams seem to not put any priority on Ivy whatsoever. I think Ivy was picked and or banned like once each. So there wasn't a lot of priority on it. And then we have Grey Talon, which also didn't have a lot of priority put on. It was pretty rarely picked and pretty rarely banned. So I put those. And then we have, to finish it off, we've got McGinnis and Bebop, which in the games that I analyzed, once again, it might not be the entire pool, but I looked at most of them that I could find the data for. McGinnis and Bebop were neither picked nor banned. So I believe that right now they seem to not be very contested. I think if you want my personal opinion, I think Bebop is more like third phase. I think he's decent. The problem with Bebop is really a problem of consistency. If you hit every hook with Bebop, then it's a very good hero. But if you're not hitting hooks, then I would much prefer having almost any other hero in the game right now. McGinnis as well is very abusable, and I think it's also a bit of a hero pool. So, you know, in NA at the highest level, we have Naked, who plays McGinnis, who gives a little bit of McGinnis representation. But other than that, there's no one else who really plays McGinnis. And I think good players tend to not play McGinnis that much. So it might be a bit of a hero pool. And it's possible that people just haven't explored McGinnis enough and that maybe she's better than everybody thinks. But at the moment, it seems the consensus at top level is that McGinnis is pretty useless. Overall, I think my thoughts on the current state of the meta is that, as you can see from the first pick ban, it's a very, heal / tank meta. Like all the first picks or bans are either tanks or, heroes who have a lot of healing. And then the second phase are still a lot of heroes that are fairly tanky, other than, I guess, Vindicta and Pocket. But I think Paradox, Shiv, Wraith, Lash, Mooncrill are all very survivable heroes who can get a lot of lifesteal or regen somewhat easily. And therefore, I think that right now that is the current meta. I talked about it a little bit in the barrier video. I'm hoping to see some changes Thursday. Not really sure what's going to happen, but I guess I'll keep you guys up to date. Expect a patch notes video Thursday. And thank you guys for watching.